All right, fantasy footballers, it is a week 7 recap time. But first, sippy sip. Thank you, Baby Yoda. So, week 7 recap. Yeah, uh, Bills-less week for me. We're still stewing about the Titans loss. Speaking of the Titans, how about the Titans-Chiefs game? I mean, who saw that coming? Um, Giants fans, you're welcome. I attended the Giants game this past weekend in celebration of Marcel's bachelor party, and the Giants won. So, that'll be the first and last Giants game I attend. So I guess that'll be your last victory of the season. So we'll see. That's about all I got. Before we get into the recap, I played Marissa this week, and I wanted to give Marissa a shout out. Happy birthday! Today is Marissa's birthday, and for her birthday, we matched up in both my league and Kyle's league. She got the victory in Kyle's league because at the end of the game on Sunday night, the Colts were like, you know what? If Jonathan Taylor gets a touchdown here, Travis is going to win in fantasy. So let's make sure Jonathan Taylor does not get a touchdown here. They let Wentz run it in himself. They didn't even put Taylor in the last 2 drives, and then threw a touchdown to Pittman anyway, and just so whatever. So Marissa beat me in Kyle's league, and then in our league, I was able to get the victory, 126-108. She got big games out of DeAndre Swift. I got a monster game out of Mike Evans, and really, Evans is really the only guy that really produced any big numbers for me. Marquise Brown had a nice game. Heineke had an okay game. Derrick Henry had a subpar game from him, which is 86 yards and a passing touchdown. This week, this is a crazy week for everybody. Buy-Mageddon. I hope you guys all survived your Buy-Mageddons. I went 3-2 over the 5 leagues. I was resetting some of my lineups this morning, and just the players I was putting in off the bench back into the lineups was ridiculous. The amount of people that were not playing. So, anyway, I got the victory over Marissa. And Marissa, speaking of happy birthday in our matchups, she is tied for last place in our league. This is the way fantasy rolls. In Kyle's league, she's in first place. So, it is what it is. I guess it's probably better than being in the middle and everything. So, which is what all my teams are right now. All right, moving on. We got Marcel and Tom Jessup. Marcel was able to get the victory over the formerly first place Tom. Big game out of Jamar Chase, which was, I think, the second biggest game of the week. I think Cooper Kupp had the most points in fantasy. But Jamar Chase had himself a monster game. For Tom, Lamar Jackson, Deebo Samuel had nice games, but nobody, Kelsey had a subpar game for Kelsey. I mean, the whole Chiefs offense had a subpar game. Jalen Hurts is consistent, 25 points every time, and so on. Just an FYI, I went through it last night after the games were over. There was not a single bench performance in our league that would have made a difference. Nobody left points on their bench that would have won them the game otherwise. So there's no, mistakes that were made. It was just, it was what it was. Welcome to Buy-Mageddon. Almost everybody's bench had no points on it because of Buy-Mageddon. All right, moving on. We got the now first place Rob Wilson, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, winning 108-66 against Kyle. Sorry, Kyle, I can't ignore it. You scored 66 points, and had you not started a defense, you would have scored 77 points. Kyle started a defense that scored negative 11. That's hard to do. But you know what? When you start the Jets, you leave yourself open to those opportunities. Also started a wide receiver that didn't play, Donovan Peoples-Jones. However, the only guy on Kyle's bench that played scored negative 1 point. So it's probably better than he was better off starting the guy who scored 0. So listen, Buy-Mageddon is what it is. What are you gonna do? Kyle had Gesicki show up for him. That was literally it, and Young Huku. For Rob, his team didn't really show up either, but He got enough. Aaron Rodgers had an okay game. Woods was okay. And his kicker beasted because he had the Patriots kicker going against the Jets. All right, moving on. We got JJ with the victory over Rob Jessup. Again, 108-86. Neither team really showed up, but he got enough points out of McLaurin and Brady to get a nice victory there. The rest of his squad was really nothing to get crazy about. In fact, his defense scored -6. For Rob, tough quarterback situation. He started Darnold with 2 points, and his bench quarterback was Zach Wilson with 2 points. That is not a good combination of quarterbacks, Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold for fantasy. I gotta imagine that there's a trade that needs to be made there. Somebody's got extra quarterbacks. They need to be calling Rob and making a phone call there. CJ Uzama, only guy that showed up for Rob's team. Moving on, we've got Ken and Larry. Ken 125, 115. I believe if my memory serves, Ken was down going into the game, and I think Metcalf got him the win going into Monday Night Football last night. So Monday Night Miracle there. You know what? We all made fun of Ken for taking a defense way too early, and he still did. However, that defense did score 18 points and was his top scorer in the game. Bucks defense. Fire it up if you're playing against the Bears in any leagues right now. They tied at the flex position, 14-14. Really, the difference in the game is the 18 points is the plus 20 that Ken had in defense. He's got 18 and Larry scores -2. Wow, defenses. So many defenses scored negative points this week. That's almost better off not even starting one. Despite getting only 7 points out of Mahomes, which you don't expect to get very often, Ken is able to come up with the victory. Both those teams at 4-3. Kyler and Pittman having nice games for Larry, but unfortunately everybody else didn't really show up much. And then finally, onto our game of the weekend. We have the number 1 scorer of the week versus the number 2 scorer of the week. It was an excellent game. Keogh coming up with the win over Tommy McGrath, 181-175, and it came down to the wire. Another Monday Night Miracle. Kamara's 33 points put Keogh over the top to win that game by 6, and that's also our closest score of the week at 181-175. Stafford with a big game. Kamara with a monster game. Cooper Kupp with a monster game. Khalif Raymond scoring 17 points, 23 points out of Pitts. Big games for Justin. And then on Tommy's side, you got huge games out of Burrow. Good game out of Mitchell, Javonte Williams. Monster games from A.J. Brown and Chris Godwin. Monster game from D'Ernest Johnson from the Cleveland running back fill-in. There's really nothing to be done there. One of the better bench performers was on Tom's team, had 14 points, but the guys that he started over him scored 24, 16, and 17. So, again, there wasn't a single bench performance in the league this year that would have swung the games. But, that's a tough break for Tom. He's scoring the second most points by a large margin in the league and losing. All right, on to the standings. I talked about before we get back to Rob Wilson. Rob Wilson is currently 7th in the league in points and at 876 points. He's 7th in the league in points. He is currently 1st in the standings. Sometimes the schedule just goes right for you. So, listen, 6-1, can't take anything away from him. But at the same time, I think Kehoe, who's in 2nd place, has 200 more points than Rob Wilson right now. So is what it is. And then Kyle, who is 1 game out of last place, has 7 less points than Rob Wilson. So again, sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. So standings, we've got Rob Wilson in first by himself at 6-1. On to the second place teams at 5-2. You got Kehoe and then Tom Jessup as far as points scored go. And then the third place teams at 4-3. You got Marcel and then me and then Ken and then Larry. And then on to 3 and 4 teams, you've got Tommy and then JJ. 2 and 5 is Kyle, and then at 1 and 6 you got Marissa and Rob Jessup. Standings projections. Let's see what we got going on over here. As far as changes, let's see. Keo's still trending up 11 spots to first. Let's see. That's turned out for Watts is, I think that's Ken, right? He's trending up 6 spots. Where do they have him going right now? From 9th to 3rd. They got Tom Jessup going up 3 spots to, let's see, from 5th to 2nd. And then Tommy Jessup, they have you trending down, or Tommy McGrath, they have you trending down 10 spots from 1st to, multiple score guys. Yeah, that's Tommy McGrath. From 1st to 11th. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm assuming that's the McCaffrey injury there. All right, let's take a quick peek at next week's schedule. See any interesting matchups. You got me and Larry, 4 and 3 teams. That's going to be a big game for each of us. Unfortunately, he's got Kyler Murray going, and I have Kyler Murray in another league, so that's the thing I hate about fantasy. Brother matchup, Kyle versus Marcel. Tom Jessup versus Marissa. Rob Wilson versus JJ. Rob Jessup and Tommy McGrath. And then Kehoe and Ken. Go Socrates. So that's your matchups for next week. I have all the kids in daycare right now, so it's about to get crazy over here. I'm gonna watch Dune, and then I'm gonna go to work. So crazy stuff. All right, that's your week 7 recap. Peace.